All right, Aaron Klein. I'm here with Aaron Klein. We're going to have a brief conversation. Aaron's a mortgage consultant, and I'm a real estate consultant. And we're going to talk a little bit today about how we met and what we have in common as far as how we serve our clients. And so we're just going to take it away. So I'll just kind of kick it off by saying that, like-minded, like real estate people and lenders need to be like-minded because we're working with pretty much the same clients.
Right?
Exactly. And
Mhm.
since we're working with the same clients and we're both entrepreneurs, we need to actually serve them in a very close, special way so that they feel like they're getting the kind of service they deserve. Don't you agree, Aaron?
Right, and so we're looking at things from the same viewpoints and able to surround them with a structure that supports them to achieve their goals.
Exactly. Well, one of the things that you and I were just chatting about is one of the ways that we're like-minded as well is that we're both educated in our fields pretty deeply. And one of the ways that we get educated is through a coaching firm that we're a part of, our coaching group.
Mhm.
And it's called By Referral Only. And I love that title because that's one of the things that we strive for is to work on a referral basis.
Right? Which holds us to a much higher standard because we're working to earn the endorsement of that client and for them to want to come back to us, not just for a commission. We're not just there to sell something to somebody. We're there to create a relationship. And that's a whole different mindset on how you approach how you serve people than it is for people who are just looking to get paid from a transaction.
Yeah, and what we were talking about too was really interesting because there's a lot of real estate people and lenders out there that may go to seminars occasionally, but are they associated one on a full-time basis? And both you and I are associated with a group on a full-time basis. We actually build relationships with other realtors and lenders across the nation and even out of the country a little bit too,
Mhm.
because we need to know them on a face-to-face personal basis, I believe.
Mhm. Well, I think it holds us accountable because we're showing up to the same people and they know what we're talking about. We know what they're talking about. And we're all sharing information with the same goal, right? How can we better serve our clients? How can we create just an incredible experience for them so that they want to tell other people about it?
And they seem to be attracted, like we seem to be attracted to the same like-minded systems that this coaching firm gives us.
Mhm.
And because it makes sense on how they treat the customers. We treat the customers in a way that we become more of a relationship, almost like a friend, like actually a friend.
Right. Or family.
Even family, yeah,
Mhm.
like welcome to the family. And I just love that type of mindset. Whereas one of the things that I use quite a bit is like we're not a taxi cab service where we're simply just working with a client. They pay us for what our services are, and then we go on to the next client, and then the next client, and the next client. Whereas this is only the beginning of our relationship, just the very beginning when we sell them a house or we get them a mortgage. They When we connect with clients, we connect with them for life.
Right. Well, and I know that you have this too. Having done this for almost 34 years, I'm helping my clients' children. I've had clients who've been with me for 25, 30 years. And that means so much to me because it means that I've served them well and that they trust people they care about to recommend me.
Yeah, I love that. I love this. I've got the same thing going on over here
Yep.
with children that I've now serving. And we were just talking about some of the special financing that you have for us in Colorado with CHAFA financing.
Yep.
And,
Color housing finance.
sometimes those first time home buyers of those kids that are now adults,
Right.
they need to get into their first home. And sometimes they need programs like that to get in.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that because what it makes me think about is I know that so often people will say, "Oh, well, do you help first-time home buyers or do you help, luxury home buyers?" And I help all of those clients and they all have different needs, right? So you have to have a lot of different tools. You have to be able to figure out what's right for that particular person, which might not be right for what their friend or their family member did. And I think you would say you have the same thing. Like you serve clients of all all different uh, financial means and the type of property they're buying. But really, what they all have in common is that you care about them as human beings and you want to have them have the best possible outcome for their situation.
Well, exactly. Like, we work with the first time home buyers and we work with the move up buyers, and then the move up buyers buy the trophy homes.
Mhm.
And we also have some clients that move down eventually.
Right.
And then we have those clients that like to buy those vacation homes and things like that.
And you are definitely more of a hotbed for that in Colorado.
Definitely. Well, with the mountains and things like that, people like to buy their cabins, and they like to get out and get away from the city, and they just love that. So it's really a fun place for that for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and I was going to bring up, like when we were talking earlier as well, that how did you start in the business, Aaron? Like, how did you get started in the mortgage business?
I ended up here completely by accident, which is kind of crazy. I went to the University of Minnesota. I thought I was going to be an engineer, which as I look back today, I'm so thankful I'm not, because I wouldn't have had the human interaction that I love to have. But when you're young, you're trying to figure out what you're doing. You don't really have an idea of what's out there. And certainly there is no college course in mortgage banking. There is no skills test that says, hey, you should think about being a mortgage banker. I almost think it's not considered a legitimate path that they recognize in school, right? And so I had gone to school and wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. So I was just working a couple of part-time jobs trying to figure it out. And my dad and stepmom were very concerned that I didn't have benefits because I had two almost full-time, but not full-time jobs. And my stepmom worked for a mortgage company. And she said, hey, Erin, we have a receptionist position open and it has benefits. You can come check it out. And I literally thought when I applied for that loan, it was just going to be a bus stop for me. It was going to be like, I'm going to park myself here. I'm going to do the best I can. And I'm going to figure out what I want to do for my career. And who would know, almost 34 years later, that receptionist job turned into a loan processing job, turned into a loan officer job. I was really lucky that I was hired by some rock star mortgage bankers who took the time to invest training in me, teach me how to do things the right way. I ended up exactly where I need to be. I absolutely love what I do, and I would have never thought that from that day one.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I just love hearing stories like that because sometimes, fate or, God leads you to these on these paths sometimes, and it's just so neat to hear about your story and how you actually found something that you have been doing for this long. There's a lot of people that aren't in one career that long.
Well, very, very true, especially now. But in my business and yours, experience is important because there's so many different pieces of the transaction that don't come up every single time.
Yeah,
And the more transactions you do and the longer the history you have of dealing with that, the more adept you are at being able to solve problems for people or figure out a solution.
yeah.
How about you? How did you get into real estate?
Well, I think a lot of people might know this, but for those that don't, it's a pretty cool story. My dad, he started business when I was just a young little boy. He was actually I was a baby, to be honest with you. And it was back in 1961 when he started real estate. He was in real estate for 57 years. And I have two older sisters and two younger brothers, and they were not interested in what my dad was doing because it was such he worked so many hours. He was trying to provide for us, big family, and it looked hard to them. To me, it never looked, well, I was not going to say it didn't look hard, but it looked intriguing to me because I thought to myself, I want to have a family myself someday. And when I have a family, I want to be able to provide. And I could sense, even at a very young age, as young as 6, 7, 8 years old, that my dad was doing some good stuff and he was known in the community and he was doing well. And I thought, this could be great for me. And I had decided at that young age that that was the career I was going to take. I was one of the few that
Uh-huh.
grew up wanting to be something and actually fulfilled that, which is really amazing. And now
Yeah,
for
that is
50
really
years,
amazing. And it's funny, you and I have this in common because both of my parents are real estate agents.
that's
And
right.
but I was like your siblings where I would hear them talk about real estate around the dinner table and I would see them work nights and I would see them work weekends and I thought that doesn't seem like such a good plan to me. And what I didn't realize, what I know now that I didn't know then, is it isn't work. It doesn't matter if that work happens between 9 and 5. It happens on the nights. It happens in the weekends, because that's the way real estate and mortgage banking is. We work around the clock. That's when people are buying houses. But it doesn't feel like work when you're excited to help people. When those people are part of your real estate family, they become part of your social circle, part of your friend circle. You want to help them. It isn't a burden. It's an exciting opportunity.
It's neat when you get to that point too, because when you first start, you're going, I'm wondering how I'm going to make these relationships and how I'm going to form these relationships. But if you're a natural people person and you like communicating with people and you like to get with people, I don't know about you, but I know you are this way, but a lot of people out there are not. They kind of like are more introverts, I guess.
Right.
I tend to
It-
be
I
an
was gonna say, especially numbers people, a lot of mortgage bankers are definitely that way. And, like I said, I now in retrospect wouldn't have wanted to be an engineer because I would miss all that personal interaction. So for me, it's the perfect mix of like, I get to have relationships with people and I get to do number stuff.
yeah. No, I think we're both like in the right careers, or we would not be doing it this long. You for 34, me for 40.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it's just that's what another reason why you and I are so like-minded is because we found our careers and our careers relate to each other. We need each other so that we can serve our clients in the right way.
Right.
In
And
a
how
way,
lucky are we that we happened upon that early in our lives where that isn't the case for
I agree 100%,
everyone.
And I think we kind of covered the last point where we were going to make is, like, why do we love what we do? Is there anything that you want to add to that?
The only other part I would add to that, um, so I love puzzles. If you ask my partner if he gets a puzzle out at home, I will not go to bed until it's put together, which means we cannot put them out during the weekdays because I will be up too late. I love doing puzzles, and getting a loan approved is like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. And yet everybody's life is different, but we still have to make a full picture for the underwriter to be sure we can get the loan approved. And in my history working through the ranks in mortgage banking as a loan processor and helping with underwriting, I learned how to put together an effective picture to get a loan approved. But every time I start out with a client, I have a different puzzle box. All the pieces are different because everybody's lives are different. And yet I still need to reach the same goal. And I find that fascinating and challenging and intriguing.
I love that analogy because I was going to tell you that that's one of the reasons why I'm glad that I don't do the loan and the real estate at the same time because what you do and what I do is so similar, but yet it's so separate.
Right?
And because of that, I'm so glad that you're working on your puzzle for my client and I'm working on the other puzzle for my client.
Yes.
And
Yes.
because they're two different puzzles that need to be worked on between two very good professionals, because otherwise, you know, like I always like the analogy of the ducks on the pond, where their feet are just like going like this, but you can't see them.
Right?
They make it look easy. They look like they're having fun on the pond, but
Uh-huh.
their little feet are just going like this, like crazy. So here's you over here, and here's me over here, and we just look like we're having fun and we're smiling and we're getting the transaction done, and we make it look easy sometimes. But I think a lot of the clients I work with actually do kind of figure it out. They kind of go, "Wow, you guys really did do a lot," and they're saying, "I could have never done this without you." And when those clients realize that, then I think they really appreciate our field and how necessary our field is in today's world, especially.
Right? Very much so. And I think there's a lot of things we can DIY, right? And I know, like I needed some electrical work done at home recently. Legally, I can do my own electrical work. That would not be a wise choice. So I
Now,
value having professionals in my life that are good at what they do, so I don't have to be good at that too.
I'm glad you're better than I am because I've gotten shocked about every time I've ever tried to do something with electric.
Yeah, that's not an experience I hope to have.
Well, Aaron, thank you so much for meeting with me again on this little duo video that we've done, and we'll continue to do some interesting topics in the future. I look forward to some future topics.
Absolutely.
But I
We can
love
talk
this.
about Colorado Housing Finance Agency next
Well,
time.
yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. And I want to thank everybody for listening. And please don't keep us a secret. We make a good team, getting your mortgage and getting your house, right?
Very much.
All
Thanks,
right.
Jim.
Thanks so much. We'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.
Yeah.